Hey, everybody, and thanks for listening to Starting a Record Label. If you haven't found out by now, this podcast is about everything that goes on with me starting a record label. So anyway, this week, there's a lot of stupid, crazy crap that happened. I sold one of my converters, my audio converters, what you use to record and listen to music. And I was like, you know what, I can use my motherboard on my computer right now, and I have my API, nice recording preamp hooked up through it. And I was like, you know what, I'm doing my Zoom meetings, I'm doing my, recording podcasts, and everything seems to be working fine, And then all of a sudden, Windows does what it does, and it's like, hey, new update, crash. So here I am, about midnight, the day of my podcast supposed to be out. And I have to go through all this stuff. So sorry if I miss some stuff that I planned out for this week. I blame Windows. I used to be a Mac guy for a while, for a long time, actually, from probably about 2000 up until about a year and a half ago. I even made Hackintoshes for a while because Mac's computers are just so overpriced. Gosh dang it, that any normal person can't afford them. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this, but Windows kind of sucked for a long time with doing music stuff and whatnot. But now that I'm doing video stuff, the music stuff seems to be okay working. So anyway, back to business. I tried to set up, was going to set up a DBA this week, but gosh, this stupid coronavirus crap is still kind of delaying it. I wanted to set up a sole proprietorship just so that I could get a business checking. So that I can start. My wife keeps getting pissed because I'm making money outside of our family to put into this business, and it's messing with our budget. So anyway, I wanted to set up a sole proprietorship, which requires a DBA for your bank account. Blah 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 blah. It's annoying. So I just went to go do that, and the hours of all these things are all screwed up right now, and so. It's taking a long time for me to get something done that should be super freaking simple. I've done this all before, but just because this stupid virus thing is pushing things back. I want to eventually incorporate as a single person company in California, though. It costs like $800 a year minimum for taxes. Which it blows my mind. It blows my mind that you're gonna hurt somebody that's like a small business guy. That's like, hey, I need to form an LLC, but you're like, no, you need to pay us at least $800 a year in taxes. Like, thanks, jerks. I'm gonna be a freaking record label. I'm not gonna make anything for years, I'm sure. Well, maybe. Let's hope not. But most businesses don't make anything for the first 5 years. So anyway, that's been annoying the heck out of me lately. And because it's just one of the major things that I need to do to move forward. So anyway, hopefully by the end of this week, I'm going to have this DBA and a sole proprietorship, like doing business as is what a DBA is. So I'm going to do business as Not Today Robot here in California. Hopefully that'll be done soon. That's supposed to be like the most simple hurdle, most simple crap. But you know how things are going. I decided, on a different note, this week I kind of decided to do more video. So I know last week, if you caught my last podcast with Chris Wallace, he's formerly of the White Tie Affair. He's the singer there. He's a songwriter. He's done a ton of amazing stuff. And he's one of my best friends from, grade school practically. And we had a Zoom meeting and we recorded the video for it. And it went pretty well, even though I was in like my kitchen. And I thought, I was like, hey, we need to start putting video on the YouTube page. It's something that's simple nowadays. So next week, I think with our next podcast, I'm going to actually put on video for it. I know you don't really need to see my ugly mug, but I've been doing like a cartoon for YouTube, and I've been working in Adobe Cartoon Animator, and it's like, hey, I'll just do myself as a funny cartoon. And I don't know how much people are actually watching that or whatever, but it's a lot of work. And the video is not. So anything to make my workload smaller, yet, work better. So I decided to do more video. And because I decided to do more video, here's the more work. I'm going to be building an office / studio thing out back. Hopefully my landlord won't get pissed. However, he hasn't been back to this house in 4 years. So he's all hanging out in Portland and enjoying the lovely Portland, Oregon-ness. And we're out here in lovely California. So I'm going to be building that. So it's going to be like an office / studio / video area for me to do all these podcasts and whatnot from, so that it's not, from our kitchen table or from the small area that I claim as a mixing area in our apartment. But yeah, I'm going to be building that this week. Maybe I'll do a video for that. I don't know. And you might be just a lot of me hitting myself with hammers on accident. But that is a major process. Angie's hopefully she's backing that, but I've had to raise a lot more money on the side because of it, because it's going to cost probably about $500-$600 just to build that little tiny office. And so I had to do more work. I went back to kind of doing some Uber stuff on the weekends because I haven't had any mixing stuff probably in about 3 weeks, which really kind of sucks. Normally I get calls for recording stuff, and I'll take it if we really kind of need it. You know how this coronavirus stuff is going down, and a lot of people need work. And I kind of want to encourage you, if you've ever thought maybe you could do Uber Eats or Postmates or even Instacart, which is like a grocery delivery service, I'd encourage you to do it, because to be honest, right now is like the easiest time on earth to do it. Even though I know a lot of people are kind of afraid of the virus. If you're wearing your mask, everybody else is wearing their masks. Actually, you have to wear the mask or you can't work for them. But anyway, you do all the stuff, you're probably gonna be fine. Not a guarantee, obviously, but I've been doing that, and I've had like minimal contact with people. You literally like walk up to the restaurant. There's just like a table there with stuff on it, and you just pick up your stuff, and then like the app usually says "Leave on my front door." So it's been beautiful traffic too. So, and I've actually made like twice as much as I've made in a while. So I'll actually link my Uber Eats, my Postmates, and my Instacart codes in the show notes and on the YouTube page and everything else, so that you can do that if you want to. I think you get like a pretty big introductory amount of money if you're doing it. I know they're probably hurting for drivers right now if everybody's not wanting to get out there. But like I said, it's kind of minimal contact with people. Maybe maybe Instacart's a little bit more. But for Postmates and for Uber Eats, it's really easy. And for about 4.5 hours of work tonight, I made $160. So that's actually really good. It's going to go way down probably later. But, for now, that's pretty good. That's what, $40 an hour? Jeez, I didn't even realize it. But yeah, making that money so that I can build some stuff, and it can add. I think I got about $2,000 saved up for the record label so far, which is kind of cool. At the same time, it's kind of annoying because people aren't really supposed to be, especially here in California. I know separate parts of the United States have already started opening up, but here in California, it only seems to be getting like worse sometimes. I really kind of feel like things should start slowly opening up here. I don't know how you feel about it. Everybody's got their own take, but out here, it seems to actually not have hit anywhere near as hard as someplace like New York. So hopefully out here we're going to be opening up, and then maybe we can start getting together with some bands. I've been looking at a bunch of them. I'm going to start adding them to some podcasts here in the near future, so we can even ask some bands who may or may not be interested in the label and what I do, what they would be interested in if a label were to come and ask them to be signed. If you missed any of the prior episodes, about how much money I think this is going to take, I'd go back and take a look at those. But I think we settled around $16,000 in a year. But obviously that can change, especially with what's going on now. That's been my week. One last thing before we get into the obviously the name of this is Facebook ads suck. But before we got into that, I started using later.com, and I've been using Hootsuite for a while. It's a social media scheduler. So, a lot of times I'll put out a bunch of funny memes to get, my organic, my organic Facebook and, Facebook kind of sucks still, but my organic reach to Instagram and Twitter and whatnot. Instagram is usually the one that works the best. But I've been programming all of my social media posts, at least all the ones that I kind of want to just go out for fun for the entire month. And I think it's like $15 a month. And it's been really nice. I really actually enjoy the layout, the GUI or whatever you want to call it for it. And it's cheaper than Hootsuite, especially for what you get. Maybe for other things, Hootsuite might be better, but I really like layout. I really like later.com and its layout. Just plug for them. I'm not getting anything from them at all, but I really enjoyed them. So check them out if you are scheduling stuff, which you should be. I've seen a lot of bands actually doing a lot of live streams and stuff lately. It's actually really been cool. I think that people are finally being like, hey, I have nowhere else or no way else to actually get a hold of my fans right now, so maybe I need to make some content. Novel idea. Should have been doing that anyway. But I digress. Anyway, onto Facebook ads stuff. So like last week, I cut out a bunch of the conversation between Chris and I because, we just we got into things about our families, our life, and back home, and a bunch of other extra stuff. But one of the things I didn't want to cut out, I kind of had to, was we talked about Facebook ads. Now, generally, Facebook ads suck. And I've done them like 5 or 6 times over the probably 4 or 5 years that I've been having other pages, other podcasts, everything else, and they sucked, and they were expensive, and I got nothing out of it. I'm like, I just wasted $100 on that. And it was awful. But this week, actually probably a week and a half, I upped my podcast listeners by over 260% using it. And that's insane. And I'm going to continue to use it. And it's costing me like $6 a day. And it's actually going to cost me cheaper than that. I think it's going to start costing me about $2 a day for the same exact reach. Now, I understand you're like, hey, I tried this before. It sucks. You're lying, or for some odd reason, it works better for the podcast than my band. No. It sucks if you're just boosting posts. I actually tried boosting the Chris Wallace post to try to get like maybe his older White Tie Affair fans and some other bands that were similar to White Tie Affair at the time. And it did squat. It got to a lot of people, but it didn't get anybody to click, anybody to come to the podcast, anybody to listen, nothing. And I think I spent probably $20 on that. And it was like, oh, you got thousands of people, and they were just uninterested. But the secret to this is you've got to start acting like a business that needs to market to customers. I know it's, I grew up listening to pop punk from the East Bay that was just completely against that kind of stuff. And I know that those, East Bay scene bands, punk bands from that era always hated Green Day for, going mainstream or whatever it was. But without that kind of push and without the marketing behind them, they wouldn't have ever been as big as they were. Whether or not you like Green Day or not. I do. It's just something you got to do, especially today. If you went out there and you want more fans and, you're just dropping some stuff on YouTube or, release a full length of EPs once a year maybe, you're not going to get the reach that you need. You need to have a marketing plan and a marketing idea. Now, Facebook marketing it's a little hard to understand at first. It really is. Like, it looks crazy complicated, and that's why a lot of people just hit the boost. Like, if you have a page, you're like, hey, I'm just going to boost this one post. And it gets out to, grandmas and grandpas and people that listen to, like, Yanni. Not that Yanni's bad, but it does not get to the people it needs to get to. So the first thing you really need to do is find out who your target listener is. And you got to know more than just like, oh, here's who I think is going to listen. You need to know where they're going to eat, where they're going to shop, what they dress like, or how they think, if they're into podcasts, if they're into like funny, weird movies. You need to know all that kind of stuff. Break it down and find that person. And, whether, it's generally a guy or it could be generally a girl. I mean, you can do a lot of testing to see too. It's just, you need to find out who's going to want to listen to your music, and then you got to target them. And Facebook does an amazing job of targeting those kind of people. And you can just pinpoint accuracy. And then later, after that, you can say, hey, those people that I targeted, how about you target people that look like those people? And so they have look-alike targeting. And then it gets even cheaper. It's like, at first I think it was 23 cents per person that would click. And then when I started using lookalike audiences, it went down to like 6 or 7 or 8 cents, depending on the person. And you find out, you find out weird things too. Like, oh, wow, for some weird reason, people that liked, I don't know, Weezer really liked my music. If you could be something that's nowhere near to Weezer, oh wow, people that like Beastie Boys for some odd reason like my punk rock album. It's just really weird. And then you can focus on those people if that's the way that if that's the fans that you want, people that really want to listen to your music no matter what. That's what you get, and it's great. And you'll find a lot of cool things out about marketing and that way. But you have to get into it. And I know that bands and artists don't want to do that. This is a part of that artist mentality. We talked about it in Jesse's podcast a little bit. That mentality that I just want to do this for my art. And that's beautiful. Then you got to find yourself someone else that's going to do this for you. And here's my pitch. If you're a really, really great band and you're willing to do the video and all this other stuff, send me an email. I'll totally be like, hey, if you're interested in this and you want me to take care of the mastering or the marketing stuff, we're going to go over it together a lot. But, at least I'll be the one that's in charge of that. I've been researching this stuff for years now. I'm better put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to start promoting this podcast with this stuff and show people just how easy it is to get more listeners. And it works for anything. It'll work for freaking Pizza Hut. It works for them and it works for you. You find your listeners, you find the people who you want, whether on Instagram, on Facebook, there's Spotify ads, there's YouTube ads. You just got to know what you're doing. And then make it real simple for you to click that boost and you're like, oh man, I spent $100. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But you got to figure it out. And there's so many YouTube videos on this. There's a million of them. I know it's a little hard to dig through them all. You get all the same information, but I know there's a couple other courses, whether you go on Skillshare or some other things. Couple of my favorite ones are Ari Herstand. He has the Ari's Take blog. He has a couple courses for Instagram and other things. Those are great. And there's also the guy named Circa. He does Indiepreneur. It's really, I think if you search it in Google, it'll come up the right way. It's really weird. It's spelled weird. I think it's spelled INDEPRENEUR. Anyway, they have a bunch of courses that you can pay. I think it's like $30 a month, or purchase each course individually. And the courses are great. They take like real world regular marketing stuff and they convert it into stuff for musicians. Like, here's what you're really doing, here's what you should focus on, and here's how you can run some simple Facebook stuff. And it's all video based, so they just walk you through it. And it's all great. There's other places that do it too, but you got to start acting like a business. And I was there, a few years ago. Like I said, I boosted a bunch of different stuff for a bunch of different pages that I had. Even my last podcast, when I started it out, I tried boosting it, and I'm like, man, this is not doing anything. Do I really need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars? It's like, no, you don't. You can spend $1 a day, a flipping $1 a day, and you can get really good results. And I was saying I was spending about $6 a day, and it's going to go down. It's going to go down now a little bit because of using lookalike audiences and marketing to those people automatically. But you might not have $200 a month. So like if you have $30 a month, maybe, yeah. Most of us, I think, could cut out a few things and make $30 a month for this. Maybe, it might be hard for Corona right now, but like I said, with the Uber stuff, it's, I made $150 in what, 4.5 hours or something, $160. I don't know, something like that. It came out to almost like $40 an hour, and it was crazy. So, if you need a little bit of extra money to do that, work a few hours, and then your band stuff gets promoted all week. It's super simple. Like I said, I'll leave a bunch of links in the podcast notes. If you use my like referral thing, I get a few bucks, and then you also get a few bucks for joining or whatever it is for Uber Eats, Postmates, and Instacart. But we really need to start focusing on our bands, our labels, our everything else. Us as young artists need to start focusing on those aspects. I would encourage you guys to step out and make a little bit extra money if you need to, and put $1 a day. Put $1 a day on some Facebook ads and figure out how to do them, because they can work if you do them correctly. So I knew this one's going to be pretty short for this week. I don't have a guest on for this week, but I got a couple more guests coming up. And this is actually pretty good. I actually am happy we didn't have a guest this week so that I could kind of get down to what I've been doing lately. I don't think we caught up on the journaling aspect of the podcast in a while here. But if you're unhappy that I did not have a guest this week, I apologize and should have one next week, actually. We got a few lined up. Hopefully these schedules will not get screwy, and we can get ahead of it again. For a while I was ahead, 3 or 4 weeks, and then mixing came up and other things came up, and trying to get some stuff done. But anyways, thanks guys for listening. Thanks for supporting the podcast. You can do so by sharing, tagging, all those good things. It goes a long way to help us reach those people that would be interested in the podcast. Also, don't forget, if you got a band and you want to check out the label, you want to talk to me a little bit, go to nottodayrobot.com, put all your information in there, and I'll give you a shout. Thanks guys for listening, and see you next time.